Oh yeah, you wake up at like 6 p.m. or something like that, right?
Yeah, fair, fair. Well, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., somewhere in there. Welcome to the Death Wish Dinner Theater. I told you I was keeping the name for something. Don't fucking judge me.
Mm-hmm.
We are here with Qyzerynth, another one of the people that does commentary, fighting game stuff. Occasionally competes. I don't think you've competed in a while though.
Nah, you know what I mean? Like most of the events that I've been at have been events that we're running, and last I checked, my last name isn't Kaiba, my first name is not Seto, so I have no place in trying to win my own money back. That just seems kind of, I don't know, it just seems kind of wrong. It seems like a very villainous thing to do, and last I checked, I'm not a villain on purpose.
Fair, fair. You would say you've been playing fighting games and well, competitive games in general for a pretty long time, right?
You could say that. I have definitely been around. I'm not necessarily an old man. I'm not necessarily a young whippersnapper either. But at the same time, I do feel as though you can call me a veteran. I feel like veteran, seasoned veteran. It's a good word.
Seems about right. Okay, first question would be what would you say are like the three games that maybe got you into fighting games?
If we're talking about from my infancy, I'm going to be honest with you. It starts a little bit later than most people because I wasn't
Fair.
really into fighting games to a point to where it's like, oh man, this is something I actually like really want to get good at. Like I was a button masher like everybody else during the 90s.
Yeah.
I wasn't out here on the grind. The first game that I actually caught my eye to actually made me want to actually practice and learn how to do all the fancy stuff was Dead or Alive 3. I know, I'm just as shocked as many of you.
I
It was the itty bitty titty committee game that made me
I
decide I
started
want
with
to learn
DOA 2
this.
on the Dreamcast, so
And apparently I was playing DOA wrong because my mains were Zach and Jan Lee. See, apparently I missed the memo that this was the nipple boat game. Sorry guys, I failed you all. And my fourth, fifth, and sixth characters were Bayman, Bass, and Christy.
I think
You
I
didn't get
played I think I played like Bass and Hayabusa in like 2 or
Oh, so you made the same mistake as I
I
did.
was playing male characters as well, like
I didn't know this was the voluptuous Viction victory screen. I didn't know that that's what we were supposed to do. I mean, granted, when I was a kid, I wasn't really necessarily looking at that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone knows about the DOA 3 Christie ending where you see her booty cheeks for like, what, 70 frames or something like that.
it's like a
And everyone
second
goes,
and a
ooh,
half. It's like
scandalous.
super
Woo. And it's just like, whatever. And essentially, that was about the extent of that. And everyone hated fighting Brad Wong. And then all my friends came over. And like, it really didn't hit me until Rumble Roses. Like, oh, I see why people are into the voluptuous vixens. All right, I get it now. But as far as the three games, Dead or Alive 3, Mortal Kombat, Deception. Yes, I know. As much flack as I personally give the 3D era Mortal Kombat, something about Deception, as garbage as a game it was mechanically in terms of balance perspective, it was.
it was fun
Something
though.
about that campaign and story was fun, and the fact that you could just like hit somebody with a basic launcher and basically take 80% of their life. I mean, come on, guys. We love big damage.
Oh, that's
We
right, that
love the
game
fact
had
that
weird juggles, didn't it?
not the weirdest though. I still think that Armageddon had that weird juggle system.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that
no,
started
Armageddon was
the double launcher, and then I think Mortal Kombat versus DC had the triple launch where you could bounce someone with a neutral jump punch. You could relaunch him again with a standard launcher. And I think you get 2 neutral jump punches if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that game was a hot mess. But the third game after DOA 3 and obviously Mortal Kombat Deception, where I was like, you know what? Maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something to this, was CVS 2. Now, granted, I didn't have CVS 2 when it was the new kid on the block. All right, I didn't have CVS 2 on the Dreamcast until about like 6 years later. I saw it at a Swap USA. If anybody remembers what that is, you have
was it
earned
the
yourself a veteran's
Dreamcast
discount.
was it the Dreamcast version that was supposed to be the good version? I can't remember which one was like don't touch that.
I don't know which one was supposed to be the good version. All I know is that I had a version. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I remember
I
there
cannot tell
being
you.
one specifically a CVS2, and I'll just have to DM Rock later about it at some point. But like, one of them was don't touch that. Unless I'm thinking of a different game, because I could be. It's some of these older games just fucking fly over my head now.
I know there's a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 port that sucked.
Sounds about right. But it's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Marvel vs. Capcom is not a series I've been able to wrap my head around very well. Too much going on.
Got you. Because Marvel vs. Capcom 2's Dreamcast port is kind of. Yeah, we won't talk about that one so much. We'll let. If you're playing that game, you're basically saying God's in control now. I don't know whose God it is, but somebody's ethereal being from a higher plane of existence is in control of this now, because we're not.
Alright. And since you did say, like, you, running over my words, lovely. You said, you haven't gotten to compete too much nowadays because you guys are hosting the events. What events have you, competed in that, like, you enjoyed that weren't ones maybe you hosted or ones I guess you guys did host that you had to, play for because you needed people?
Okay, MomoCon, honestly, before we even took the reins up running events there, I had some fun tournaments. Although most anime conventions, I'll tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, if they're not outsourcing to us or 404 Esports or Team Spooky or whoever it is out there in the tournament organizing Mythos,
Trust me,
it's not
I know.
one of those. It's usually just 2 dudes and a laptop, or 1 dude and a laptop.
I've been trying my hardest
to
get
sticky
the
situations.
I've been trying my hardest to get the 2 conventions I staff to outsource because holy shit.
Look, there's nothing worse than pulling up to a venue and be like, hey, I'm about to play Dragon Ball Fighters. And then you boot the game up and you're like, all right, round 1, let's go. And then you looking at the character select screen, you be like, where the DLC at?
See, this is the one that irked me.
Oh, it's season 1?
Just last month, I staffed Nebraska on one of the 2 that I helped staff. I go up there because at this point, I'm not doing anything but sitting in there making sure people don't, like, yeet pads or something. Because unfortunately, we've had to deal with that, which there ain't nothing that makes, like, my blood boil more than somebody eating a con pad and just sitting there like, we gotta pay for that, and we don't make a lot of money. Because 80% of the money the convention makes, at least the ones I staff, that goes straight back into paying the venue fee.
Look, here's the worst part about it, right? Like, I will never, ever say that you should do this. But if money is not an object to you and you got it like that, this is what you do. When someone throws the con pad, if their cell phone is on the table, you just walk up and just chuck their cell phone. And just look at them. It's
not
like,
quite
looking at me? That's how I'm looking at you. Now,
not
granted,
quite equivalent,
your
but you know
device
what?
is like 10 times more expensive. I said if money's not an object, it's 10 times more expensive. But now you know exactly how I'm looking at you, the way you look at it. You see now. You understand that? You get it now? Because there's something about the pain of losing a piece of technology that's near and dear to your heart. Something about losing that really teaches a lesson.
See, what I've done... Oops, sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it. I'm going to let you go.
What I've done is, in the past, I've taken badges and I've had security walk them out, and I was like, if you want to come back, spend another $60 on a badge. You're done for the day.
See, you be letting them come back. See, our method is a little bit different. We take their ID and their badge because we've seen people, they came here for the event and they'll act up, wild out, and think that they could just leave. If they don't have a badge, who cares? They don't come back. They need that ID.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Because they'll be coming back and they'll be like, oh, it's like, oh, no, I saw what you did. We got your ID. We got your government name here. Matter of fact, we already took it up to the front. It's above our head now. Management got your ID. So you can wait until the punishment comes down from the top. We'll see you then. But I did. It's like, you may not have meant it, but you did it. So it's beyond us now.
I don't know. At this point, I figure, you know what? At least I can get the 60 to reimburse the controller.
I do get that, but because our controllers, that's all us. Like our controllers don't even come from the con. Like that's all we're 100% self-sufficient in that area.
Of course.
So
I
if I
think I
see somebody break
remember.
something, either they're gonna have to pay the deductible, or we don't mind paying it, but we're gonna have to go to staff and be like, hey, look, man, you can't be out here intentionally. Like if it's a controller that just so happened to break while you were using it, I'm not worried
Yeah,
about
because
that.
sometimes
I'm
it
not making any
happens.
qualms with you. Sometimes that happens. Oh, this controller's got controller drift. Hey, man, we put that in the controller drift. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about someone who deliberately went out of their way to like spite the controller because they got mad. Because first of all, whether you realize it or not, that's safety hazard, especially when you got like a couple thousand people around and you just out here indiscriminately chucking a controller. It could break. It could hit somebody else. There's a lot of like we've seen it happen. We've seen a man get mad and just
It could hit
break
the
his
lighting.
controller. A button came out and popped some girl in the shin. Now, granted, luckily it was just a shin. But what if it was like a 4-year-old girl, you know, like or a 4-year-old boy, you know, a small child that could have been their face.
Yeah, God forbid that hit somebody in the eye. That's
Yeah,
fucked.
like a baby in a stroller could hit them in like the chin. Like there's things that like you may not consider, but you have to consider when you're running an event. Especially like there's something that a lot of people don't consider, and it's something that I think more people should consider since we have a lot more disabled gamers who are coming through and you know showing that they're able to compete with anybody.
Props to shit
If you're
like that,
having
by
a
the way.
stage, if you're having a stage, invest in a ramp
Oh, absolutely.
because you don't want to have that awkward moment of you know someone who's in a wheelchair or someone you know who's got like a broken leg or someone who's not able to walk up a set of stairs and they're able to make top 8 or they're supposed to be their next game is on stream and then you have to have that awkward ooh how do they get up there uh-oh and then obviously as you know how social media is and once again I always say social media is not a real place but it is real enough that all it takes is one person to get out there. Wow, I can't believe the people at Insert Con here are so ableist and think so little of the disabled that they wouldn't even invest in the time to accommodate us for actually playing video games. The disrespect is unparalleled that they show to our community. Like, it's tweets like that from people who aren't even at the event that can end up ruining your chances at having an event the next year.
Yeah, I feel you.
Because trust me, anybody who feels like that they have been besmirched and you know superseded in some way, it's just absolutely like not really taken care of or not even thought about or thought as much as an afterthought. Those people, when they are hurt, just coming on social media and saying that'll make a lot of other events that or potentially even bigger events get real timid about looking your direction to call you guys up and be like, yeah, but apparently they don't care about disabled people because trust me, most con staff when it comes to hiring talent or when it comes to pulling people together or outsourcing some sort of venue space for an organization, a panelist, or anybody, internet celebrity, influencer, whatever you want to call them, they do not want to take the responsibility of things going wrong. If they could just Google, oh, that's what they're saying about them, you're axed. They're not even
Yeah.
risking it. So you might as well make sure that you're future-proofing yourself and thinking of these things. But sorry for the diatribe. I'm just saying if any of you are aspiring to run an event, these are things that you need to think about because a lot of people will not tell you this.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you gotta look, I don't know how to word this right. You just gotta look at every possible option, because, I mean, liability is a bitch.
Trust me, there's going to be some things that you're not going to think of, and when it hits you, it's going to suck. But
Yeah,
it's about what you do afterwards.
You can have the best of intentions and still miss something, and then it's sideways because it's out there.
Exactly. Like, we had an interesting incident at Dragon Con. I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say, but we will put it this way because it's technically public knowledge. Like, people talked about it on Twitter. There was so you know, since we're all wearing masks now, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
because of COVID, you know, we want to be safe. And we have a mask mandate. And we wanted to make sure that all our players were safe and social distancing, yada, yada, yada. We decided to run
Speaking
a Mario
of
Kart
which,
tournament.
quick,
Oh,
I am so fucking glad that people listened to that at the convention that I just fucking staffed last month. Because
I mean, we've had some pretty good attendance on people listening to that. Yes, even down here in the South, people are listening at conventions. Now, outside of conventions, yeah, good luck.
Well, yeah, because like, unfortunately, in Iowa and the Midwest, it's not that people don't give a shit. It's just everybody's kind of set in their ways up here. I'm just
I love the
surprised
people who wear
everybody wanted to
masks.
listen.
I love the fact that there's a lot of people out there down south anyway that wear masks, but they're wearing them as chin straps. Like they put them on and then they talk to somebody for like 2 seconds and they never pulled it back up. It's just there.
I
The
hate
amount
that.
of that I see is wild to me.
Like, at the convention I just at, I went out because there's no vaping in the venue for obvious reasons, and I just don't want to be that douchebag anyways, even if it was allowed. I'll just step out. I'll go out there with the smokers and stuff, and like, this guy came out, he was about, I want to say like 10 feet away, and he was like, do you mind if I pull my mask down? And I was like, dude, you're fine. But the fact that he asked, that was good, that was nice. It was cool.
Especially when you're outside. Like it's not really something that normally I would think you would have to ask, but just bonus points to that guy for
Yeah, I
at least
still
having the
respect
common
it.
courtesy to just, feel out the room a little bit. But yeah, as far as other events that I thought were like really cool, I think Final Round is pretty good. Yes, it's me just basically picking up some of my Southern brethren. 404
Fair.
Esports down here in Atlanta, really good venue. Shout out to Greg and them. They put together a great thing. They got events every night from Smash Brothers to good old fashioned Tekken. Because Tekken, Atlanta's basically the Tekken capital of the South. Like let's just.
Oh, absolutely.
Some would even argue that it's the Tekken capital of America. Period. But we'll leave that between them and New York to figure out.
A lot of my Florida mutuals I still talk to every now and then. They go up to Atlanta and stuff to do Tekken. But to be fair,
we get a lot of interstate traffic. I mean, we got a good Marvel vs. Capcom scene up here as well.
I mean, they're from Jacksonville, so it's not exactly the longest drive. So
yeah, but we also get people from Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama. Like this, is not necessarily the farthest of distances, but our locals turn into regionals real quick for most of our games.
It's wild because a lot of people think like local is just within a couple cities around a certain spot in the state, and it's like no. Sometimes people will travel. Locals can be, a little farther than you think.
Yeah, like how I still believe to this day I was screwed. I was screwed out of a regional championship. To this day, I wasn't screwed. The person was better than me, but I will always window dress this story with I was screwed.
How far did they travel?
Let me tell you something, all right? This dude was from the other side of Alabama. We're talking like on the west coast of the Alabama line. Drove all the way through the state of Alabama to get to
So
Metro
it took a whole
Atlanta.
ass day.
Yeah, took a while to get here. But you want to know how I knew I had no chance of beating this person? And it wasn't until afterwards, because once again, they were short-staffed, so they wanted me to do the post-fight interview with the winner. And I had asked him some simple questions. Now, this is for a game called Injustice 2. I had to beat a Dr. Fate player, a Superman player, and an Atom player just to get here, which are all terrible matchups for Bane, might I add.
I was
And
gonna say
it wasn't
Bane's
necessarily
already. Bane was already low, right? Yeah.
He's low mid, but he dominates a lot of matchups just due to the simple fact of how mechanics work with his armor. But he also loses a lot of matchups just because of how his armor works. Like any character that throws 2 projectiles at the same time, because yes, unlike most games where someone throws like a projectile that's like 2 batarangs. Let's just say Batman, 2 batarangs.
Well,
those count as
again,
2
it's
separate
NetherRealm.
strikes. Yeah, those count as 2 separate strikes, even though the batarangs are on top of each other. It is not 1 projectile, it's 2, which means if you try to use a move that armors through it, your armor will get broken and it won't work. So just put that out there for you fighting game fanatics. Point is, I was running through all my bad matchups, kicking butt, taking names, get the grand finals on loser side, by the way, because I lost to the Superman player, then I beat him again in losers. And I was like, the run back feels so good. So I felt like I was on top of the world. I got this. Fight a Catwoman player. I reset grand finals, and then I lose 3-0 because after I beat him and reset grand finals, right?
Right.
He started doing this, like, he closed his eyes, he put his head down, he pulled his hoodie up, and he just started, like, saying this chant. Now, I don't know what this chant was. I don't know if he was trying to psych me out, but he was using, like, real names. He was like, I know. I got it. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on over there, so I'm gonna ignore it because it's not none of my business. And he's trying to psych me out, whatever. So he beats me pretty convincingly. I think it was like 3-0 or 3-1. I don't
Homie
remember how it went
consulted the
there.
elder gods.
No, it's worse than that. Because when we were doing those aforementioned post game interviews, I was like, all right, so Catwoman, you know, first I asked him where he's from. That's how I found out he came all the way from the other side of Alabama. And I was like, all right, so, you know, what made you pick Catwoman? And this man said, oh, I've been playing Catwoman ever since Injustice 1. And, you know, she got me through some tough times in life. And I was like, okay, so he's trying to make this more like an epic story about getting him through some tough times in Bracket. And he's like, because there was a time where, you know, I thought about, you know, maybe just ending my life. But Selena Kyle, you know, me and her, we talk late at night, hours of the day, weeks at a time. And she's just coached me through life. And I was like, oh, you taught your characters your therapist. Oh, I had no chance. This man had a symbiotic relationship with the digital protons that are coming out of his PS4 in order to beat me. I had no chance. Digital protons are not a thing that actually makes sense. I just made that up, but that's the amount of sense what he just said to me that made. And I literally had my hands on my head like, wow. Well, I had no chance. You were playing with your spirit animal person thingamajig. I had what was I supposed to do? Because it wasn't win. I'm just like, me beating you in a set, that had to be a fluke just to reset the grand finals. Oh, I had no chance. When you get down on bended knee and close your eyes, you don't see Jesus Christ. You don't see Allah. You see Selena Kyle from Injustice. I had no chance. What was I supposed to do? Well, I had no chance. I was just happy to take games off the dude at that point. I shook his hand and I said, well, Godspeed. You heard it here first, folks. And I moved on. It was what it was. Nothing I could do there. But say GG, he was the better player. But yeah, like, I've had plenty of stories when it comes to fighting game tournaments. Some where I fall off the boat, and others where, oh my God, it feels so good. Just chef's kiss. But we can talk about those stories if you want. But to answer your question, other events, I know I keep getting sidetracked here, but other events
it's all good.
Pretty good is pretty much anything on the East Coast. If you want to talk about the ones we've done in the past, Dragon Con, MomoCon, Anime Next, MagFest, good old fashioned Otakon. We got plenty of events that we've got some stake in. You know what I'm saying? We've got some credibility as we've moved up and down. And apparently,
y'all have definitely been growing.
Can't speak on them next. But we had some talks with WasabiCon. And we did do a little stuff at WasabiCon. And Florida, apparently, once again, can't disclose much, but there is definitely more to come. So if you're in the Florida area, United Gaming League, UGL now on all social media networks. Go ahead and look us up. And we might be coming to a city near you.
Yeah. Personally, I definitely want to see you guys grow because, like, we need more people who...
We're working on it one day at a time, one step at a time. We're not trying to get ahead of ourselves because,
well, absolutely.
Let's face it.
And to be fair, the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, because we're expanding past fighting games. Like, it's not just fighting games. We're going to have Mario Kart. We're going to have, obviously, your Halos. We're going to try to get some Battle Royale stuff in there, but that's a lot of product that you need.
Battle Royale is like...
a lot of systems.
I see people doing tournaments for that, and I'm just sitting here thinking that is... Even if it's, not your full fucking lobby fill, that's still... That's a lot of fucking effort.
Yeah, because you need like 32 systems, and then you would need at least 32 capture cards. You need a bunch of different audio passes, and like the real estate that you need.
I don't want to think
in a
about
social distancing era.
Yeah.
You need a lot. So like it's a bit ambitious. It's something that we want to work forward to, but we do have various other games like 8-player, 16-player games that we are looking into getting into.
I sure as fuck don't want to be the guy to set up that audio setup, though.
That's not really that bad because we have a 32-channel Behringer mixer, so we're good there. We're not too down in the dumps on that. But what I will say is this: we wanted to run Overwatch, but given how Blizzard has, I don't want to necessarily say fumbled the bag, but they have crashed the boat. I think it's safe to say they have pooned the boat.
Look, man. I am very open about my stance on this one, and I don't care if people get pissy with it. Bobby Kotick's got to go.
I think a
That's
lot
as
of
far
people
as I'm
over
gonna
there
go
have got to
there.
go.
Oh
There's a
no,
lot of people over there that
100%.
need to go. But because here's the thing, right? And I know if you look deep down, you look hard enough, you look far enough, you can't buy any product on the planet. Like if you found out how certain foods are made and prepared that they put in these cans and seeing
Oh, I get you.
some of the stuff that gets outsourced and how they treat some of the people in those countries, there are certain sodas you'd never buy again. There's chips you'd never eat again. There's restaurants you could never think of going to again. Y'all want to talk about raising the minimum wage, but you see how McDonald's be scamming some of their employees. Not too long ago, Kroger, the grocery store, accidentally, so they say, gave people too much hazard pay during COVID. And then they told those employees to give that COVID money back.
Yeah,
So
that's fucked.
certain grocery stores you wouldn't be going to anymore. There's specific directors, actors. There's certain like movie studios as a whole. You couldn't watch their movies anymore. You see how Sony gets down from time to time. So if you want to watch Spider-Man, No Way Home, well, you can't watch. Like, if you look hard enough, you will find reasons to not support anything.
No, absolutely.
But I do feel as though once you're kind of in an industry a little bit, even if you just got your little baby toe in the door, I feel as though you can't reward behavior that's in your industry because you can help that. You can help that. So if you have agency over it, I don't think we can support it. You know?
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of how to say certain things here because I've got like 3 NDAs that I'm working with right now with voice stuff, so I can't really go into detail. But like, man, just that industry, there's some fuck shit back there. But also, I can't say shit because I ain't about to like fuck up any chance of a career I got.
All I've ever said is when people want to get into gaming or voice acting as an industry job, I will say, if you really want this, I'm gonna tell you the exact same thing I'll tell every aspiring YouTuber. Have a backup plan that has a solid foundation because I'm telling you, you're gonna get, if you do get in, that first like month or two, you're like, wow, this is great. And then certain buzzwords that you've heard in many of articles written all across the globe are going to start appearing. And you'll be like, wow, these things really happen? Wow. And you're just going to have to hold that. And that's all I can really say about that. I'm not going to say any specifics. I don't want to get nobody in no troubles. Haven't signed an NDA on anything like this, but word travels fast. Y'all know what it is. But yeah, there's plenty of events all over the nation that I think that you guys could go to. And even internationally, we've seen a lot more events popping up. So honestly, there's too many events for me to name. But yeah.
Hey, y'all are getting busy. That's great. Well, it's great and bad at the same time, I suppose. Free time at this point is probably a bit of a luxury.
If we get to a point to where this is like 100% like a full-time career choice, nah, I'll be okay with that. I'll make it work.
Fair. But, like, you like entertaining, so...
Yeah, being in front of the camera, behind the camera, it doesn't matter to me. If being behind the camera and not being a personality gets me paid more, I'll do it. No problem. No hesitation. You don't even have to ask.
Fair. It's something you enjoy doing, and honestly, how many opportunities do you actually get to, do something you genuinely like doing?
And getting paid for it, and being allowed to travel on someone else's dollar. Ugh. That's been the highlight. Like being on a plane, knowing I didn't pay for it, being in a room, knowing that I didn't pay for it, and all I got to do out there is smile in front of a camera, hook up all the workings for the tech side, the mixer, the PCs, make sure all the lighting's good, make sure the projector's good, make sure the projector screen is assembled, make sure the internet's working, and then all I got to do is sit in front of a camera and commentate the whatever's happening on screen, whether it be the players showcasing their skills for all of you on twitch.tv/UGL now, bingo, whether it's you guys being able to sit back and watch us just clown around when we're doing our in-between tournament setups. Like, if it's all good to me. I'm fine with any of that. Just sign me up. Granted, it's long hours once we get there, but like, what? Worst case scenario, we're working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then half of Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting paid the equivalent of what some people get paid in bi-weekly pay periods. Like come on now, really? Like what can I possibly have to contend with in terms of an argument?
No, I get that. Excuse me.
No, you're all good, man.
Now, on that, the next question was going to be like, now, like, commentating.
Mm-hmm.
One, how do you feel about that? And like, what's the most rewarding stuff for commentating, or advice on like getting into commentating? Basically, just general questions about commentating.
Okay, boom. Getting into commentary, this is what you need to do. Anybody who has ever commentated anything will probably tell you one of the easiest things you could do. Hey, you have DVRs in your PlayStations, in your Xboxes, and it's not too hard to record your own footage on PC, even with a mid-range or even at this point low-range PC, given the customary options that you have in OBS these days. At
Yeah,
this
I mean,
point,
OBS
just
doesn't
go
use
into
shit.
just go into a King of the Hill of whatever game you're playing. If you're playing a fighting game, go into a King of the Hill. If you're playing a shooter that has a spectator mode, just spectate a random game and just commentate it. That's your practice. There's an infinite amount of opportunities where you could just practice things. That's the first thing I will tell you right now. That is the easiest way for you to get some sort of practice. Number 2, how do you get out there? If you actually have said something that you thought was really dope, put the clips on TikTok, put them on Twitter, put them as a YouTube with the hashtag shorts. And I'm not saying do this with like pick one. I'm saying you need to do multiple of these, if not all of them at the same time.
Oh yeah, and
put it on Instagram, because
real
putting
talk.
something out there in 4 different places increases the chance of you going viral in some way exponentially.
Like real talk. People sleep on TikTok.
Y'all shouldn't, because TikTok, you be getting views for like free. Like on YouTube, you could have a video with all the production in the world and you'll still get like 25 views after the course of a year if you're just starting out, because no one knows who you are. On TikTok, it's hard to get a video that doesn't hit 200 views. Like, it's hard to get a video that doesn't hit 200 views in like the first 36 hours.
Yeah, like one of the most shitposty things that I've that's been put up there on TikTok for me, 1,000 views in like a day.
And you don't even need to necessarily put maximum effort in the production quality, because TikTok is normally meant for very short, quick fix videos. Get your dopamine, scroll to the next.
Yeah.
But that aside, yeah.
Short form media is fucking great.
And then pushing past that, I think the other thing about commentary that I think is very rewarding is when you run a fantastic event, you commentate, you get off the sticks being the microphones in front of us, and then someone who's a player is like, hey man, I really appreciate all the stuff that y'all did for me. I'm glad that y'all gave us this platform. Or I don't know if I ever told you about this, but there was a player who entered 2 tournaments, and I had noticed that he was in 2 tournaments. So when one of the TOs was like, hey, we need so-and-so to come to the top, I was like, hey, he's in the other tournament, don't worry about it. Give him like 10 to 15 minutes. He's actually playing at that set right there. So they moved on to the next match. And he said, the fact that I didn't even have to worry about getting up and knew that you had me, like, appreciate it, man. And he was like, give me a hug, brother. And I was just like, I didn't really think I did that much. I just paid attention to who you were. But all right, I got my embrace, you know what I'm saying? We hugged up, you know what I'm saying? We thugged it out. Tear down the eye. But no, man, like, just knowing that, like, people are very, I should say, attentive to the little things when you're cool with them.
Yeah.
And, like, they realize, oh, these people are qualified. They're certified. They know what they're doing. I don't
Also,
have to
props
worry
to the
about
homie
too
on
much.
the grind in 2 tournaments.
Yeah, like, there was one dude who was in, like, 5 different tournaments. And, like, man, he had a wild day. Because he thought he was going to get a break, but he was like, no, he's in the 2 o'clock pool for this game, the 3 o'clock pool for this game, and he's in 2 tournaments that both start at 5. And I was just like, hey, man, you on it, bro.
It couldn't be me. I can barely focus on 1 tournament.
And he brought his controller for each one. Like, my man had a backpack of just cycling controllers. He had an arcade stick. I was like, this man This man came here to secure some W's. I respect it.
Could not be me. Nerves kill me on just one tournament alone, which is hilarious.
Hey man, I can teach you how to get rid of nerves. Unless it's a condition. If it's conditional nerves, I can't do that.
I think I just got to compete more. I think that's my biggest problem is I get too like into my own head.
And that's one thing I do help people with when I'm look. If you go to a tournament, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't care what game it is. Whatever you have done online that has brought you success, I know they say online tactics, this and that. 9 times out of 10, the first few rounds that you're gonna be playing, who do you think you're fighting? You're fighting online dudes.
Plus, with the way
who have just as much credibility as you do.
With the way a lot of fighting games are going now, online tactics are kind of not being a thing. And with rollback actually being good.
Yeah, it's just like, so all that stuff that you do online, like, the worst thing you can do is try to do new stuff in the tournament. Like, I have never understood that. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend, plays online, plays with me somewhat competitively, you know, takes some games off me, blah, 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 whatever, right? But once he gets into the bracket, offline, outside the comfort of his own house, he be like, nah, you block this mix up, so he gonna block this mix up. I said, what makes you think he's me? You better hit him with the ABC. We'll worry about D, E, and F later, okay? But he has to show you that A, B, and C don't work first. And I think that's why a lot of people lose to a lot of great players, like why they get steamrolled. Because all the stuff that they normally do, they're like, oh, well, this is Justin Wong, or this is Sonic Fox, or this is Daigo. Ain't no way they'd get hit with that. So they start trying some stuff that don't work on anybody because it's stupid. And now you just look dumb, and they're like, all right, well, I guess I'll kill you now. And then you just die.
I mean, there's...
Not saying that any of those aforementioned people are easy to beat if you just play your game. It's not what I said. But some of y'all be doing 80% of the work for them because all of a sudden you don't even want to play how you play.
Hey, overthinking gets to everybody.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you, me and my boy Subtle Fraudulence, one of my my main mate from the podcast, Cloud.wave. You should go look it up. Hashtag ride the wave and all that. But there's a statement that we said. Yes, you know what beats your character, but does your opponent know? You're not just playing the matchup, you're playing your opponent. If your opponent is a 2-year-old, it doesn't matter if they're playing a top-tier character, they're not going to do the top-tier character things. So stop respecting the 2-year-old like he's going to do the top-tier character things. If you're playing a shooter, and you know for a fact the person on the other team has shaky aim, stop trying to overextend yourself into a situation to where you're giving them all this time to play safe. Pressure them. You know they can't aim. Finish them.
Just give them the strafe and run up.
Don't act like you're fighting against like a team solo mid player who's like got the most laser insta kill aim by aim you've ever seen. Because if you know that person is not that girl or not that guy, finish them. Like, just do it. Because I feel like a lot of people try to take every player they fight and act like they're a grandmaster titan of the game. And they take every engagement under that very terrible pretense that the player I'm playing is just as good, if not better than me. And that is when you develop habits where you start playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And trust me, playing not to lose is a quick way to find yourself on the losing side of the bracket. I'll tell you that right now.
True. Like, you can still play to win and have fun. But if you're competing, like, play to win. Don't think too hard.
Well, I'm not saying that you can't like enjoy yourself in a way that isn't like I'm saying if you're in a tournament and like you're just here to enter for fun, I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm saying if you're going to do that though, stop trying to do all this calculus in your head that you've never done when you fought anybody else. Like, if you're playing just for fun, stop the calculus. It'll be fine. Just play exactly how you play at your house. If you lose, guess what? You lost playing the game that you play at your house that you have fun with, so you had fun. If you win, all right, look at you. You're clearly doing something right. But yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. All right. Like, I've got a list of questions, but it's like I don't want to just read from a list because
Hey man, that's fine.
I don't know, it's
sauce
too formal. It's too formal. But no, my other the next question was I was gonna ask what advice can you give to like new players, I suppose, that want to get into whether it be fighting games or shooters or just playing a bit more competitively in general?
Okay, so obviously that first advice, play your game. Okay, make sure that whatever you do at home and however you play at home, that's how you need to play when you get there, because some of y'all be trying to come up with brand new strategies in the middle of the match, and then you find out those strategies don't work and they're actually infinitely worse than what you do at home, and then you lose and you're like, man, I should just do what I normally do and I probably would have won. So make sure you do that. Number two, and this should be number one, this should be the top. If you want to learn a brand new game, or you want to hop into a genre, or you want to hop into a game that you may not necessarily have any sort of mastery in for the first time, play the tutorial. The reason why I say that is because I was at Dragon Con, and there were clearly people who entered some of the tournaments who did not play the tutorial. And there were some very basic system mechanics that the game expects you to know in order to be able to play the game at even a low level that some of these people clearly have not paid any sort of attention to in any way, shape, or form, because I had to teach somebody how to double jump in Dragon Ball.
What?
No, if you actually go back and watch some of the Dragon Ball Fighters tournament, like, I had a long talk with the boy Flowchart after the event. Lord bless his soul. He actually got top 8 in Guilty Gear. But when it came to Dragon Ball, let me tell you exactly what happened. Okay, on commentary, you can look this up. When it said "get ready" on the screen, I said exactly what Flowchart was going to do, and I was right on every single round start option that man did.
I mean, Flowchart.
No, I get that. But I also called out what his opponent is going to do. I said, Flowchart's going to do X, this guy's going to counter it with Y, and then this guy's going to do a jump in, and because he has shown me that his opponent cannot do double jumps, he is only going to do this base combo. And at that point, what Flowchart should do, because he always drops the combo at this part, is just super dash and then just punish him and then start his pressure. And then exactly what I said happened, except he didn't super dash and start his pressure, and I was just like, you see what I'm talking about, chat? It's like, look, I don't want to ever get on the mic and just demoralize somebody, but if you clearly have not gone through the tutorial and learned just like the sheer basics, the bare minimum in the basic category, it's hard for me to sympathize with you because I feel like you just wanted to be meat on the bracket.
God forbid you.
I know we all start somewhere. I get that. But
God forbid, though, you come across. Sorry, go ahead.
But you can't expect to do well when you didn't even do the tutorial, and there's just like some basic options that you don't know how to do. Like, not knowing how to double jump in Dragon Ball is like if somebody was playing any shooter you know, and then they said you can aim down sights. That's how jarring that sounds. Like, that would just be confusing to you, right? Like, that would just be like insane. That'd be like if someone had that's like if you found out you were playing Halo. Someone picked up the sniper rifle and they didn't know you could scope in. They thought that everything was a no scope. Like, could you imagine that? Like, could you imagine just how confusing that would be? Just to hear someone who thinks like that? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's really weird. But you were about to say.
No, I was gonna say, God forbid you come across that player in Mortal Kombat who doesn't know you have to hit a button to block.
Yeah, like see, like that, like you, because I've seen that.
Oh no, so
I've
have I.
genuinely seen that, and
I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes I forget just because I'm so used to most fighting games being like, just hold back.
yeah, I get that. I get forgetting, but to just not have ever known, that's tough. That is what I would like to call it difficile. Like it's difficult for me to like truly compartmentalize how I feel about it in a non-biased way. Because I'll be honest, if I'm on commentary and I know you haven't done the tutorial, I'm gonna be like, nah, this man clearly didn't play the tutorial. That's why he's getting mopped up right now. Because I did that at Dragon Con. Every person who I was convinced did not play that tutorial, I snitched on them. I was like, yep, they didn't play the tutorial. I could tell right now. And that was not to be disparaging, but it was just like, play the tutorial, please. I'm an advocate for playing the tutorial. It's okay to not know. It's okay. I'm not demonizing you for not knowing. I just want you to know for future reference that there's a lot of details in that tutorial that you need to learn. Because I'm not going to sit here and bore the chat or the people who are spectating this event and regaling with the detail.
Hey, if you notice something.
If I notice what?
I'm just saying, if you notice something they didn't do, like, might as well.
Yeah, like if there's a
It's
hole
more
in
commentary.
their game. There's a hole in their game. I will talk about the hole in their game.
Which
I'll also talk
actually
about how to
brings me
fix
to
the
a
hole in their
question.
game.
I'm
Alright,
just
let's
gonna
hear it.
assume that somebody's overheard you saying something like that and was able to change their game plan.
So speaking of flowchart, this was, I want to say this is Dragon Con 2018, but he was fighting a dude who was playing Cetrion, who had the ground pound variation, and he looked lost. And all I said was, it's crazy to me how so many people don't understand that if you block the first hit of ground pound, you can jump forward out of the second hit. You do not have to take the second hit, and you can kill her every time she does it if you're in jumping range. And I saw Flowchart thinking at character select screen, he was like, I could switch character, but I'm going to try that. And boy, did he ever try and hit her, and he just was just like, what? This whole time, this matchup been a lie. And then he won. He said, hey, man, I want to thank you for getting me third place, because, like, I was lost in a couple of these matchups, but, like, I heard you doing commentary, and I heard you talking about the strategy on how to beat my character. So, like, when you would say stuff about how they could beat me, I stopped doing it. But then when you said how to beat them and they kept doing it, I was like, oh, man, I got the coach. And that's why I said, yo, man, you got to separate the commentary desk and the players a little bit further, because they be picking up on some of the stuff I be saying, and the matchup just start changing as I, like I forgot. Like, I want to, actually, no, it was this year. It was this year at Dragon Con. I said, this man, every single time, round start, he does Android 18 barrier, covering it with Ginyu assist. And all this man has to do is super jump, instant air dash forward, or super dash forward, and he will hit this man every time. Or just wait for the assist and then 2M staircases. And every single time, he just kept getting away with it. And then one person just tried it out and just killed 18 right off the start. And I was just like, you're welcome. I got you. The flowchart was like, man, why are you coaching them? You're supposed to be coaching me. I said, I ain't supposed to be coaching nobody. I'm a commentator. I'm very upset that y'all can even hear me, to be quite honest with you, but we don't always get what we want. Matter of fact, I got you 2 third places. So the least I could do is pay it back and root for other people, huh? Yeah, that's right. Because I played flowchart. He know who watches who. That's all I need to say. Haven't played him in Guilty Gear though. Maybe he's better at Guilty Gear, because he did get top 8 in Guilty Gear. But I'll tell you right now, not with the Eno buffs we got and the nerfs that his character got. Oh no. Nah, he gonna have a very bad time. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about the players. But it be like that. But continue on.
Now, you played a fuck ton of games. That's obvious.
Yeah.
You commentate a decent amount of games. Again,
Quite right.
obvious. Just go watch the streams or go watch the videos. They exist. But my question is, what are some things either in fighting games or shooters that you're seeing that are a trend now that you are not a fan of, that you think and I'm not just saying, oh, auto combo bad like I'm
Nah,
talking just
I
trends in general that you just kind of don't think are helping people learn.
okay. So number one, when it comes to fighting games, taking away cool stuff and locking them behind comeback mechanics.
Yeah, I'm not a
I
fan
should
of
not.
comeback
I should not have
mechanics.
to be darn near dead for my character to actually start doing cool stuff. Okay, that's number one. I hate that when it comes to fighting games. I
Yeah,
also hate another. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say I legitimately could not stand fuck, what was it called in fucking Blaze Blue? But you know what I'm talking about. The fucking
Overdrive.
yeah, Overdrive and the fucking Act XL shit
Yeah.
that you've got to like, oh, you have to hit this specific counter to be able to do this combo in Overdrive. It's not even about the counters, honestly. That whatever. But
And I hate a lot of the automation that rewards just passively existing in fighting games, because as you saw in Mortal Kombat 11, you get your defense and offensive meters when you're idle. Like you don't have to do anything to earn them. They just come back over a set time period.
yeah, I like the way meter was in X, to be honest.
So the ebb and flow of like doing things is kind of gone. And I also don't like the fact that a lot of these fighting games that have come out recently have always been trying to, really push this neutral first. Yeah, we want to talk about the neutral game. Yeah, man, we got to talk about the nooch, which is basically the give and take, the ebb and flow of the match when you guys like aren't in each other's face or, in sort of any sort of
But
advantage or
Qyzerynth,
disadvantage position. But it's such a
Qyzerynth,
vague, it's such a, what's that?
neutrals and footsies are important.
No, they are. They are the cornerstone of the game. But the problem is when you design your games around just encompassing and enforcing that part of it, you end up with the issue of characters don't do anything cool because you've based the game on pushing yourselves back to neutral. So that level of like set play or crazy shenanigans or like ambiguous cross ups or like the crazy nonsense that you would normally get in like the old school fighters, where it was just, wow, don't get hit, because once you get hit, a lot of cool stuff is about to happen, and if you don't know how to deal with it, you're about to look like you're just playing a non-interactive cutscene. And
Really kind of makes set play characters not feel like they need to be a thing anymore as well.
I feel like a lot of games, when they try to do all this stuff about the neutral, there are only certain aspects of that neutral that they talk about, and they kind of don't really do a good job of making sure that everything's balanced across the board. But when you add stuff like V trigger, when you add stuff like X-rays, stuff like that, where you have to be low health, like fatal blows and stuff like that, it gets to a point to where it's like, all right, so the only time my character gets access to cool combos or like really amazing stuff is when I'm almost dead. I don't like that. I don't like it when mechanics are locked away like that. It's a big no bueno.
You'd rather see cool shit for cool shit's sake.
Facts. Because I feel like for example, if you see something like amazing or cool on a Twitch clip that's just amazing and cool from an aesthetic point of view, you might pick up that game just because like, oh, that looks sick. Now, with fighting games, there's some stuff that looks sick because we know how to play fighting games, and we have like a level of mastery over what it means to have control over the neutral, spacing, footsies, what you can actually react to and how something can be like perfectly baited. But like if you show that exact clip to an average person, they're like, okay, that one guy stuck his foot out and he missed, and then the other guy hit him with a karate chop and then like hit him 5 times and it did like 80% damage. Okay. It didn't look cool. There was no flash, there was no substance. What's impressive about that? But to us, were like, yo, that man actually did a micro backdash, knew that he was going to throw out crouching medium kick, knew it was going to whiff, and then counter hit him. And that's why he was able to get double damage on blah, 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 blah.
You just reminded me that micro dashes and micro backdashes exist and hurt my soul.
Exactly. But like, these are things that are kind
My
of
hands.
these are things that like you don't really think about, or if you've never played fighting games, you might see a clip and you have no context of why this is an amazing thing. Like, for example, if you're watching a first-person shooter, like we'll move genres here. We're talking about a first-person shooter, and somebody hits an amazing shot, right? You may not know that that gun has terrible recoil and that like it only has like one shot in the chamber and then you have to reload it. You may not know the fact that if you don't aim down sights with this gun, the bullet just basically has an RNG spread pattern, and the fact that he was able to hit it while jumping off of a zip line makes that an amazing shot. You may not know all the technicalities that make it amazing.
That just reminds me of I'm not aging myself too hard here, but I'm still aging myself. Fucking Call of Duty Black Ops 1. They made it to where if you don't ADS a scope for a certain amount of time, your bullet is just RNG.
Oof.
Because quick scoping bad. And I'm just sitting here like, at the end of the day, it's still skill. If they want to do it, whatever.
It's like the same thing when like we can talk about any game genre with this.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch a speed
flick
run.
is a flick.
Yeah, like basically, like it's like if you watch a speed run of a game you know nothing about. Like let's just pick a game, right? Like let's say, for example, you've never played Mario Sunshine. If I show you a Mario Sunshine speed run, you have no idea why any of what you're watching is impressive. You just think that there's some things in the game that's just how the game works and that's how you're supposed to play it. If
Fair.
you've never played Super Metroid, you might be like, okay, so he's wall jumping fast. Okay, whatever. Ooh, he morphed into a ball and went under these shutter gates. Ooh, you don't know anything about, having to buffer the input. You know anything about the mock ball glitch, in which, you morph ball on the same frame that Samus touches the ground, which allows you to keep your upright momentum speed, your running speed, with your morph ball speed, which is usually drastically slower, which would allow you to circumvent certain obstacles without having to get the speed booster item later on in the game. You would not know anything about any of this.
Hey, Metroid speedruns are wild, though.
Exactly, but like if you've never played them, without someone explaining to you what the trick is, you don't understand the technicality of it. Therefore, it just looks like, all right, you're playing the game. Whoop-de-doo. And then you kind of move on. Or like when some games, there'll be like little quirks in the mechanics where if you do like a shot, aim down sight real quick, and then shoot again, you basically shoot 2 times as fast. Because there's some games that do have that exploit where you basically shooting twice as fast as you would be able to normal with your fire rate, which doubles your DPS. And obviously, if you're someone who doesn't really know any better, you just think the gun works like that. You'll be like, all right, so he shot somebody twice. That's not impressive. Meanwhile, anyone who knows the mechanics of the gun and how it functions, you'd be like, what? You could do what? Mind blown.
It kind of reminds me of what's the term? It was an old Halo strat where you shot the BR and BXRing.
The blah blah. It's like, what?
Fucking shot melee.
What?
Bro, that shit would get me every time.
Because the funny thing about it, like if you didn't know what was happening, a lot of people just thought you were cheating.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think I still have some. They might be on the old hard drive, but I think I still have messages saved of somebody going off on me because I finally learned how to do that on fucking Xbox way back in the day.
I'm pretty sure you just had to press B and X at the same time and then like R like a frame after. You might have been able to get away with it by pressing them all at the same time, to be fair.
I think the way I learned it was you just rolled your fingers on the face buttons.
You might have been able to do that too. But like it was legit like a sick strat. But like once again, if you didn't know it, you didn't realize how far behind the 8 ball you were if you were playing the game for the first time, or
if you were just watching someone
do it. Or if you were someone who was just like spectating a Halo event and someone did it to somebody, you just thought, okay, they hit him and then they shot. What's the big deal? So yeah, that's That's a very important thing that I think you need to distinguish. When you have no base of knowledge, some of these things that are actually technically really impressive
Yeah.
won't impress you because you have no baseline of what you can do, what the limitations are.
Yeah,
Blah
if you
blah
don't
blah
have
blah
the
blah.
outside knowledge, how are you going to be able to appreciate when somebody does a sick ass like sequence break or something?
Like for example, someone who's never timed themselves in a 40-yard dash, you might look at like someone like Usain Bolt and be like, well, he's only fast because he's tall, I guess. But if you've ever actually ran and you're like, oh, I remember what I used to run, or oh man, I know I can't run that fast, a long distance, and you actually know how you have an idea of how long a track is, how long 400 meters is, and you have all these points of references, it becomes more impressive how these Olympic athletes and these Olympic sprinters can run these distances in such a short amount of time. It's just a, I don't want to say it's a knowledge check because that seems kind of like a gatekeepy term, but it is a
Yeah, I
knowledge
see
check.
what you mean. I mean, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like, if you don't got the knowledge, like, if you don't have any information on it, like, you're right, it might be hard to appreciate something like that.
Now, as far other mechanics that I don't like in game, I know we keep going on these tangents, but
It's
they're
good.
fun.
It's good content.
Other mechanics that I don't like, I would have to say in shooters, there's one that has always been getting on my nerves. It's okay to have recoil and it's okay to have bloom, but do not affix any of these objects to RNG, please. Because there have been plenty of games that come out and they like to make these things RNG, so like, yeah, you can
Halo
control the
Infinite's fucking Commando.
Please don't. Not like
It
this,
hurts.
buddy.
It hurts. I really want to like that gun.
Because it has the same DPS as the assault rifle. The only difference is it can headshot, but if it's RNG, then why would I bank
I
on
really
a
want to like
headshot
that
when I
gun,
could use an
but
assault rifle and have more ammunition? But you know, once again, that's a different conversation for a different
have you
day.
seen the spread on that thing though?
I have not seen it in video format, but I definitely have seen it when I shot at a wall a couple times. And I was like, that's not
After
even
this is
close
all
to what it
done,
was last time.
I'll look for the clip, but somebody showed like them shooting the wall, and it makes no sense.
Because we had that. Then there's the other thing that I don't really like that a lot of shooters have been doing as of late is for some odd reason, right? For some just weird reason, they'll have a gun that is clearly better than all the other guns, and then they'll always find a way to nerf something that's not the problem with the gun. Like it'll be like a gun that's like has like a drum mag and like 800 bullets in it, full auto, and they'll be like, we decided to nerf the reload speed, and it's like, it's not the reload, it's the fact that the clip doesn't end.
You know, that reminds me. So, Battlefield 2042, people like it or they hate it, whatever. I'm not going to get into that, because personally I enjoy it for what it is. But there's an SMG in it called the PP-29. It is a 50-something round SMG that's got, unfortunately, and it's probably just a byproduct of how big those fucking maps are. It's got range. It's relatively stable, but it's got a good fire rate. So it's an all-rounder, you know?
Right.
They patched it just a couple days ago where they increased the recoil just a little bit. Didn't touch the damage drop-off. Didn't maybe slow down the reload or something, considering, you know, it's an SMG basically with a fucking drum mag.
Mm-hmm.
The recoil increase has done nothing to the gun.
Especially in a game where, because I'm not sure if that Call of Duty has it's not Call of Duty, if Battlefield has a consistent recoil spread on most of its guns. But if it does, you just learn the new recoil spread and you're back to exactly what the problem was before.
Some of the recoils are kind of pattern based. You can circumvent almost everything by tap firing in that game. But then again, what game can you not like tap fire and get decent results out of?
Because I know there was this whole issue with Apex where they wanted to get rid of b-hopping because they're like, b-hopping allows you to escape so much. And I was like, yes, but you also have Pathfinder, who literally exists. You have a character that allows your team to heal faster while in an impenetrable bubble that you can't shoot the enemy team in. You also have Wraith, who can literally just say, "You can't even hit me right now, you loser. Go home and cry about it."
Then
And
you
you
have
also have a
games.
character.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
It's like you also have a character. Well, at the time they've changed this, but at the time you also had a character that could literally use downed people to put up a impenetrable shield as basically deployable cover, while they're also being rezzed with that deployable cover.
All right.
And you're telling me that B-Hop movement being used as a survivability tool is too much for the game state?
It's funny because then you'll also see games that like penalize you for attempting to bunny hop. I can't remember what game it was, but there was one shooter I was playing where your movement actually starts going away if you bunny hop.
Okay, I have not seen that.
I think it's Warzone, but there are other problems with that game, so who cares?
And I also don't really like the copycat meta of a lot of these, especially the Battle Royale games. Or like one game has like a very interesting feature, and then the other game is like, no, we have to copy that. But then like, because when they copy it, it's usually done in the most half-assed, non-authentic way. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's just really weird how it goes. Like I think one of the best examples was you could bring back players in Apex with the the drop ships, and then I believe they added a similar type thing with Fortnite later on, and then you also had buybacks in Warzone, I believe.
Yeah. I think Warzone started with the buybacks, but Warzone also came in a lot later, so...
Yeah, but y'all
But
also
still,
had the Gulag, so I was kind of okay with it because y'all already had a way to give people second chances. That
I
was
think
very
just
unique.
having the Gulag by itself for that game would have been just fine. Like, look, you want to come back in? Kill the motherfucker that killed you. Do it again. Because 80% of the time you go into that Gulag, you're fighting the person that you just died to. Because, you know, usually your team kills the guy. Well,
that's
yeah.
If.
But usually your team, if you're with a squad, usually takes care of it a little too late.
Yeah, I think it's like, a genuinely really good game. Like, really good game design just to have that mechanic in there. I think the Gulag is a really cool system.
But then it's also got buybacks, which kind of makes it like... Doesn't matter if you even win your Gulag, I guess.
Well, I also think it depends on like how passive your team is being.
Yeah, true.
Because if you have a very passive teammate, then like it won't matter. They're not going to have enough credits to buy you back at any point in the match.
Fair. No, that makes sense.
And this one, the next one is really isn't so much of a mechanic that I hate. It's something that I hate about the gamer space, where people have now started to put this arbitrary, like, I don't want to say a gatekeep on what is a AAA title, but it's like, oh, what's that? You're a Metroidvania, you're 2D, you're a story game, you're not worth $60, just as a blanket statement. And I'm like, yeah, but y'all pay $59.99 to play Madden every year, and like y'all, what we're not gonna do is act like, what we're not gonna do is act like Metroid Dread is not worth $60, but y'all gonna buy Madden 23 for full price. Like that's what we're not gonna do, I guess.
So I haven't played Dread. I'm still debating it personally, but I've seen more than one person do their playthroughs of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth its money.
I would say, and then some. Like I think it's a really, really fundamentally solid game. I've really fell in love with the gameplay, the movement. I really thought that how they handled, being able to.
I think the parry might be a little much, but I think
I've
it's
always
still
disliked
good.
the parry ever since Mercury Steam introduced it in Samus Returns, but that's a whole different argument. But like everything else, I thought that the bosses were fun. I thought the mechanics really were fine-tuned from Samus Returns and really pushed to the limit in this game, because just being able to have the speed keep with sliding, the momentum keep with all of your ion abilities, and not really feeling like anything was necessarily a wasted step. I felt like everything had a purpose and could come back later on in the game and have purpose and utility later on in the game. I thought was a very big thing, because a lot of times in Metroid games or in Metroidvanias, you'll get an upgrade, and that upgrade will be used for like the next like area and a half, and then once you get out of that, you almost never use this power up again because everything else you've gotten is just better. I do like how some of the stuff that's in the early game comes back and is still good all the way towards the end of the game.
It looked like with Dread, a lot of what you got was very useful for almost all of the game.
Yeah, and I will always like that, and the movement was sick. The big boss fights were probably some of the best boss fights in the series. The only weak spots in the game were the writing of the story and the music, because the music wasn't that memorable. They wanted to go with that whole ambient feel, that type of thing. And I feel like just bring back video game music, guys. Like, come on, it's fine. We could be in a dark dungeon, but you can give me a really sick beat, and I'll be okay with that. All right, like I'd be cool with that. All right, guys. Look at Norfair from Super Metroid.
Yeah,
Come
God
on
forbid
now.
Konami is what it is, but Castlevania music in general.
Exactly. I'd be,
It
I'd
may
be cool
not
with that.
thematically fit all the time, but it's banger ass music.
And look, I'm not gonna give anybody any spoilers on Metroid Dread, but that story mode is. You saw my playthrough. The story mode is.
It's a little off the wall.
Yeah, the story itself, from a writing perspective, is kind of enhanced cheeks. Like, it's not. Somebody needs to give the story a BBL. Like, it needs a Brazilian butt leaf pronto, because it is disheveled right now. It is in shambles.
Fair.
But gameplay wise, I'm all in. I'm all in with it. But the fact that the game works, there's not any like Omega game breaking glitches that you can trigger on a first playthrough 9 times out of 10. Now there was one.
I was gonna say you did sequence break on accident.
Oh yes, yeah. Sequence breaking is great. Like that's just a Metroidvania genre staple. Like you just need.
Yeah.
That. Like I feel like that always enhances, because that means that there's options for players who might see a difficult jump or a difficult task, or know that they're racing against the clock, and the average player may not be able to do it, but they put their nose to the grindstone, they do it, and then they're rewarded by getting something early, or having a huge power spike in the game that wouldn't otherwise be afforded to them if they played on the vanilla route, blah 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 blah, so on and so forth. We can go on and on about sequence breaking, why I think it's a great thing. But back to my main point here, it's just like, if a game is fun and it brings new things to the table, has a bunch of mechanics that actually, layer on top of itself to make a layered experience to where you never really feel like you're limited in what you can do, and it doesn't stifle your growth as a player. It doesn't matter if it's 2D, it doesn't matter if it's 3D, it doesn't matter if it's 6 hours long or 14 hours long or 100 hours long. The fact of the matter is, if it's a fun game that truly has replayability and you can come back to it multiple times and experience in different ways, I guarantee you that it's going to be worth its weight in gold. However, when you're playing a game like a Madden and you're telling me we're spending $60 to play a game that is only going to have a shelf life of 365 days before it is replaced by the next one, in which the next one is just going to be this one with the numbers 21 replaced with 22, and you're telling me we're paying $60 a year for it, and that's before we even talk about DLC and microtransactions that are only going to be relative to this single entry in the Madden game, you're damn fools. The lot of you. The fact that you can buy characters for a Madden Ultimate Team, you can buy players from the past and all that as DLC for Madden Ultimate Team in this game. The fact that when next year's game comes out, you lose access to all of them. You have to buy them again next year.
I feel like a game that does
on top
that
of the game
should have some sort of like just upgrade path. Make it worth buying the new game and keeping your shit,
See, you say that, but you got to remember EA was
Well,
very,
yeah, that
very
would cut
crafty.
into EA's bottom line.
Yeah, but the EA was very crafty when they came up with that beautiful agreement that they have an exclusivity deal with the NFL, so other football games that can be made can't use NFL teams or licenses or anything of that nature. So you'd have like the Cruz Bay Paladins on your box art, and that's not going to move the meter because no one knows who any of these players are.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. It sucks, but unfortunately, that's how it's going to be. Now you may be saying, but what about what about these other guys? Like the retired people. Like look at NFL All Pro Football 2K8, and that was a thing. All Pro Football 2K8 was a thing, and it did have some classic players like your Jerry Rices and your Randy Mosses. But a lot of these players are signing NFL deals as commentators, as production team people, analysts, people who are just like on their NFL talk shows, which means they are now under the umbrella of the NFL, and therefore they can no longer be used. So getting an All Pro Football 2K9 or a 2K21 is not going to happen, because a lot of those names they were even able to use by that. EA and Madden were able to cover themselves by snatching those people up too. Yeah, very unfortunate, but this is the same EA that decided they were going to sell you skins in your various games that are like $30 for a skin in a first-person shooter. The genre where you never see your skin while you're actually playing the game, and you're paying $30, $40, or in some cases in Apex Legends, $50 to $60 for a skin.
Oh yeah, the special edition skin shit, which is
no, those are, at least with the edition skins, you get other stuff. I'm talking about there's actual skins in that game by themselves are $50 and $60. Huh?
Yeah, fuck that.
You want to tell me that a Metroid Dread isn't worth $60, but someone can spend $60 on a skin on a character that they're not even guaranteed to play each round? Huh? Okay. That is what's wild to me. Let me just tell you that off the front. But yeah, I think that's about it on all the stuff that I think is terrible mechanic-wise in some of these games.
Fair. With that, do you have any closing statements, or if you want to plug something? I'm gonna grab any social links or links of whatever the fuck you want me to throw down in the description, anyways. But plug shit.
Look, if you liked what you've heard thus far on this podcast, then I'm gonna tell you right now, go ahead and let your boy see some of the let's just say the fruits of their labor. And I'm not talking about following me, I'm talking about following the guy right here. If you're not following him already, there's a whole bell down there, there's some notifications. Go ahead and subscribe yourself to the Dinner Theater. Go ahead and make sure that you don't miss any further interviews or further parts of continuations of what this man is providing you for the grade A content. Like, come on, guys, this is a VTuber, man. You got to get them numbers through the roof. If not to do it for him, do it for the avatar. Come on now, you got to do what you got to do for the greater good. You got to believe in that. I believe in it. I stand by it. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, thank you for having me on. It's really cool. I'm really digging the leg room that we got here. I can stretch out a little bit. You can't do that on every podcast. Sometimes, you're a little inside the box. You got to have T-Rex arms and short, stubby legs. And I'm glad I'm able to put my 6'1" frame at its useful. So, appreciate that. Other than that, I've had a good time. Hopefully, you've been having a good time. I mean, Thanksgiving just happened. Hopefully you were able to eat till your life was content. I know I sure did. I got a lot of gym time coming up to work off some of this poundage.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which is actually funny, because I busted my ankle on the way to Thanksgiving shit.
Oh, that's
so I can't even work out right now.
That's
if I wanted to.
Tough.
Give it like a week, it should be fine.
The only thing I think I could plug with a shameless plug, well, that's not even shameless, because it's not even anything I make money off of, but there's a game called DNF The Duel coming out. It's a dungeon fighter game that is doubling as a fighting game.
Interesting as hell.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you guys ever wanted to jump into a fighting game, or you just wanted to find out what is really cool about a sick IP that you may not have ever heard of, just do some research on it. I'm not even gonna ask you to buy it, but just take a little bit of a look into it. You know what I mean? Just take a little bit of a peep. Just a little bit of a peep.
I'm hoping they're smart and at least do some sort of open beta or a closed beta. Something.
That's all we need. We just need a little bit of taste, But it looks like they're actually separating the characters into their classes. So it looks like you might have a variation select where you pick the Slayer, but then you could pick like the Berserker, you could pick like the Demon Slayer, it seems like there's going to be multiple things like that. And I'm telling you, if they put the thief in the game, I'm buying it day one, day zero. You cannot stop me. I don't care how down bad I may sound when I say this, but the thief is one of the most OD character classes I've ever gotten to play with, whether it was rogue, shadow dancer, necromancer, it don't matter. Give me that, all of it. Thank you very much. Arc System Works, Neopal, and Nexon. Yes, I just think Nexon in 2021. That I might be more down bad than I thought I was, but there it is.
Hey, with the kind of money this game has to throw down, one would assume off the jump that the netcode's at least going to be solid.
Oh boy, I sure
Don't
hope
quote
so.
me.
I mean,
Don't quote me, because you never fucking know. But
as
one
long
would
as they've
hope.
learned their lesson from the lobby system of Guilty Gear Strive, and they continue to have the netcode that they had in Strive, I'm not too worried about that.
But with all
Knock
that
on
said,
wood.
yeah. With all that said, it's been Death Legend in the Theater podcast. We'll be back at the end of next month with something. I have no fucking clue yet, but we'll figure it out. And peace.
Don't worry. There will not be coal in your stockings. He's made sure of that.